Welcome to another episode of Big Ben Talks About the PowerShift DPS6 transmission. Yeah, my voice is a little messed up. I'm just getting over a cold. My train of thought might not be perfect yet. However, I'm going to give it my best shot. So let's say that you just redid the clutch and the forks on your Focus or Fiesta, the clutch forks and clutch. And now all of a sudden you're getting these new codes you didn't have before, and you're getting these strong engagement concerns, whether in reverse or forward. You may be getting P073E or P073F. What these are synchronizer codes. However, you may not have a damaged synchronizer since this happened right after your clutch job. I'll explain real quick. I do sell threads now with my logo on them. Link in the description. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and start here with things you can try to diagnose these codes without pulling the transmission out first. Question, did you have the TCM out for any reason? If so, pull it back out and check the O-rings. Maybe one of the O-rings dislodged and fell into the clock gears for the TCM that are inside the transmission case. It's what the synchronizer actuators on the TCM mesh with and turn. If it's not able to turn those clock gears, then you can have an issue with synchronizing the gears there. Like I said, my train of thought's not perfect yet. Kind of hesitant on making this video, but let's continue. All right, so you pull the TCM out. You do not see any issues there with the O-rings. They're still on the TCM, and maybe you've glanced at the clock gears and they're not cracked or damaged and they move freely. So let's move on here. I would go ahead and do a clutch fork test on both clutch forks. If you don't know what that is, it just means getting the clutch reset socket tool that splines into the clutch fork there. It takes the place of the actuator, if you can say, and you just rotate the clutch by hand 14 times counterclockwise. Should feel butter smooth, and it should release near instantly when you let go of it. Should not bind up. Should feel smooth. If you're having a gear 1 fault code, then your issue may be with the top actuator, the one on top. You test that fork. Or if you have a reverse gear fault code, then it would be the one on the bottom where you'd crawl underneath and pull that actuator off. But, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to do both just to make sure. Now, if those feel okay, you can go ahead and take the upper and lower actuator, take them off, switch them around, put the one that was on the bottom on top, and the actuator that was on top, and put it on the bottom. Clear your codes, and try again, and see if the same codes come back, or if the codes transfer to the other clutch. Now, you may be wondering, Ben, why are you thinking that a clutch issue can cause a synchronizer code? Hey, I mean, it's possible. Let's say you have a truck in your backyard with a manual transmission, and you go inside of it, and you try to shift through the gears without pushing the clutch pedal in and releasing the clutch. What's going to happen? You know, it's going to be really difficult to try to get the gears to engage some of the gears there. I think the same thing can apply here, especially, you know, it'd be kind of a coincidence if one of your synchronizers fell apart right after you just did a clutch. It's worth checking. You know, if the clutch is stuck on and it's kind of got the input shaft locked on there and it doesn't really allow movement of the gears in there, the TCM might not be able to force that synchronizer to engage because of the tension. All right, moving on. Let's say that you swap the actuators around and nothing transferred over. It's still the same code, and your clutch fork test did not reveal anything abnormal. What I would do next is hook your scan tool up. You can use ForScan or something that can monitor PIDs or, you know, live data. I would monitor the PIDs input speed sensor A and input speed sensor B, the raw data, and start the engine and let it run in park and idle. Now at park and idle, the clutches should be released. So the input speed sensor should show 0 RPM or close to it. If you've got like 800 RPM in park and idle on one of the input speed sensors in the transmission, then you know something's stuck applied. Let's say, for example, input speed sensor A is showing like 800 RPM at park and at engine idle. What I would do then is, with the engine still running, unbolt the upper actuator and pull it out. Upper actuator because it's a clutch A concern in this scenario. And after you pull that actuator out, look at the RPM and see if it's still showing like 800 or so. If it dropped to 0, then there's either an issue with the clutch actuator or the TCM causing the clutch to not fully release. something on the control side of the clutch. Now, if once you pull that actuator out, it is still showing 800 RPM on clutch A in this scenario, then you know without a shadow of a doubt that there's something with the clutch or apply components causing it to not fully release. In that situation, you can pull the transmission back out, pull out the clutch, and see what you may have done wrong, or see what might be wrong with one of your new parts that you might have missed. I sure do hope this makes sense. Like I said, I'm kind of coming off of a cold right now. I'm doing my best. And I mean, once you've got the transmission out, it wouldn't hurt to pop that back case half off and look at the synchronizers and look at the shift drum stops and just make sure there's nothing going on there. If you're not sure what to look for there, I'll link a video in the description below, along with all the other things I've mentioned here. I'll link a video below on how to remove the back case half and inspect the synchronizers and shift drum stops. But yeah, I hope this video helps somebody out, gives you some direction. P073E and P073F are typically synchronizer issue codes. However, if you are now seeing them for the first time after a clutch job, I wanted to give you these tips and advice to have some things to check here, because, you know, if a clutch is not fully released, there's an issue with the clutch job. If it, locks that input shaft solid where no free movement in it, where a synchronizer can engage, no free movement in all the gears, then that code can be caused by a stuck clutch like that. So another thing that can reveal a clutch issue is just doing a clutch adaptive learn and looking at the learn touch points. I want to say, well, 4 doesn't have a spec that I can find in the workshop manual, but I want to say usually around 10 to 14 millimeters is the learn touch point for A or B for the clutch. If yours is way off from that, then there's something wrong. You got to pull the transmission back out and check your work. Anyway, like always, if you've got any questions, let me know below. We've also got a Facebook and Discord group. We're happy to help you out. Have yourselves a great day.